All right. I think I've got a few birthdays today to get to, but first, before we even get started, good morning to you. Happy freaking Tuesday. We have 24 degrees right now, mostly cloudy skies, some snow showers starting up this morning. So, they're saying around 11 o'clock, 11:15 or so, we could have a little clipper moving through. Just be careful on the roads. Big crash last night on 91. Lady slamming into the back of a plow truck and fatal. Just please go easy. Please take it easy today. We're looking at 4 degrees tonight, mostly cloudy skies. It's going to be chilly, though. And then tomorrow on Wednesday, partly cloudy skies and around 16 degrees. Frigid weather. This is the time of year when so many of us start freaking out. We get affected by lack of daylight, lack of sunshine, lots of clouds, crazy temperatures. We're cooped up indoors. Tomorrow, here's a little bit of respite for you. Wellness Wednesday from Washington County Mental Health. Yes, it is tomorrow. Central Vermont has been talking about this for a very long time, and so happy that it is once again back. Goes dormant for a couple of months, and when it comes back huge. It started a couple of years ago, and it has since exploded in popularity. Do not miss the next one tomorrow. Come out, relax. Everything is free. Treat yourself to a little bit of free peace from 4:30 until 7 o'clock upstairs at the Well Space Building, 23 Summer Street. You can try out acupuncture, mindfulness, meditation. Who doesn't need that right now? All of us. Get a hot cup of tea, maybe a chair or table massage, Reiki, myofascial body release. They do it all. If you would like one of those massages or the Reiki, I know I'm probably saying that wrong. I've heard Reiki. I'm going to go with Reiki. Just call Robin. Let her know what time you would like to be there. 479-4055 to reserve your time. Washington County Mental Health has been doing this for a long time. They also have been helping out a lot of Vermonters for a long time. We're talking about over 60 years now. Over 6,000 Vermonters, and it's probably a heck of a lot more than that. Those were stats from like a year ago, maybe even 2 years ago. It's probably closer to 8,000 Vermonters right now that have benefited from Washington County Mental Health just in the last year, in some way, directly or indirectly. So, yeah. So do that. Make that phone call, 479-4055. A couple of birthdays today. Very important one that we're going to be hammering on this morning, and she's got to know that we're going to be talking about this. Bessie Sandberg is on the birthday list today. I'm not going to say how old she is because she looks a lot younger than that, but she is an amazing lady. Happy birthday, Bessie. Bethany Sue Townsend, also on the birthday list today. Kathy Peliquin, there's a great lady. Man, I would love to have her on the air sometime. Hopefully I will. James Keel, Paul Simino, Ashley Ruda on this February 4th. Ernie Ferrara is on the birthday list today. Jen Parker, happy birthday to all of you, to each of you. And I hope it is a wonderful day today, no matter what you're doing. Good morning, Chuck. Good morning, Gordon. Let's check in with the World newspaper this morning. Deborah Phillips, one of the busiest ladies that I know, and, of course, one of the head honchos, along with Gary Haas over at the World. Every Tuesday, we'll see if we can get her this morning, but every Tuesday they come out with a new paper. Good morning, Deb. Some of us call it still the Washington World, but I think most of us now just call it the World. How are you, Deb? Good morning.
Good morning. Doing great, thank you.
What can we expect in the paper today?
Well, as you know, Valentine's Day is just around the corner, so we're suggesting people start planning now. The paper's loaded with Valentine's gift ideas. Also this week, we have money-saving coupons and our monthly reuse recycle directory. Upcoming events include Farmers Night on Wednesdays at the State House.
Oh, yeah.
And the Vermont Philharmonic Winter Concert on Saturday, February 16th at the Barrie Opera House. And this weekend is the Central Vermont Gun Show this Saturday and Sunday at the Barrie Civic Center.
That's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah.
There's going to be so many people up there. Always is.
Very popular, yes.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Deb. I very much look forward to seeing Chris today, as always, and getting my new copy of the World. Thank you again so much for coming on. And please say hello to Gary for us, all right?
Will do. Thanks, JD.
Yes. It's funny. I forgot about the big event coming up at the Barrie Auditorium this weekend. Logan Luce, we may connect with them this morning. We're going to try to anyway. Hey, and yeah, I know there's a lot to talk about with sports. Another new sponsor alert. And I'm so excited about this. State Farm Insurance, right on 92 South Main Street in Barrie. Bobby Bartlett, I think everybody knows Bobby. He is putting his money where his mouth is right now. He's basically saying, look, anyone that calls me and gets a free quote at 479-3353 and say that Aired Out sent you, Bobby's going to send you a check for $20. That's how confident he is that he's going to be able to maybe beat what you got. You may be paying too much. Maybe you're not. I don't know. But Bobby will find out for you. As you know, they work so hard and strive so hard to be the best. Zero mediocrity allowed over at State Farm Insurance. I have several vehicles insured with them. I have my homeowner's insurance with them. We're going to be talking about life insurance with Bobby. He's going to be in to talk about that. With me, right next to me, Joe Smith. Good morning, buddy. How the hell are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing, buddy?
Man, I'm thrilled to see you, bud. Look at that Sundub shirt.
Yes.
Why didn't you tell me that you were going to wear yours? Because I would have worn mine. We could have matched, man.
Well, I love you, but I think the twinsies might be a little too far. We do that outside of the studio, right?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
No, it's Sundub. Oh, man, great show. I got to thank you, actually, for introducing me to that band.
To Sundub?
Oh, man, the Reggae Fest this summer.
Unreal.
The Green Mountain Reggae Fest. What a show. For those of you guys who went and were a part of it, you know. If you didn't go, you probably don't know. But
right.
Rooted Entertainment put together a lineup that was really killer, and obviously
for 3 days, Joe.
3 days, and Sundub was. So when I look at the weekend overall, right? Like, I don't mean to jump into music really quick, but we have a lot of music to talk about too.
Yeah, we got
right?
a lot of stuff to talk about this morning.
What's exciting is that Rooted Entertainment is bringing back one of the artists this Friday that absolutely blew my fucking mind on the stage. Right?
I was right there with you, man.
So, dude, what a weekend we had, wasn't it?
Mighty Mystic.
So, anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Mahali fan, right?
Yeah.
So I've worked with Twiddle way back in the day when they were first getting big in Vermont, up in Burlington.
Yeah.
So I had the luxury of helping them shoot a video. So I've worked with them, and then I've worked with them as a sound and lighting guy on a couple shows. and always just loved the vibe, right? And now they got big, right? So one of the most important songs to me as a person is "In the Cold."
Yeah.
Very powerful. I'm almost gonna cry just talking about it.
Change your life.
Literally, and it's one of those songs that has such an energy to it that picks you up from your dark place while talking about those dark places, right? So. Huge song. Me and my son, it was a very important song to us for the last few summers of going out and stuff. So Mahali has moved on to do his own thing. And now the new Mahali music is even just as good, if not better, right? So now he's combining aspects of looping and sampling and beats and stuff. So they brought Mahali there.
Yeah.
As you know, I shut everything down to go see that show.
Sure. Oh, yeah.
But I was lucky enough to see Mighty Mystic, guys. Now, Mighty Mystic had the most energy I've ever seen of a reggae performance.
I know.
His voice was really reminiscent to me of a Bob Marley voice.
Yeah.
And the style and the way he put it out there. So
he's a Jamaican.
Well,
and
he is. Yes.
Lives in Boston now.
Yep.
But tours all over the planet. I mean, he's
and an amazing guy too. I went over
know.
to the merch where I actually bought this shirt.
Yeah.
I was like, I gotta buy a shirt and support this band, right?
Yeah.
So, she was absolutely amazing on stage. Blew my mind. Like vocally melting. You know what I mean?
Sure.
Like it's just
Joanna.
And I get to talk to him.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, I thought I was the merch guy the whole time because I haven't officially met him yet. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I was like, maybe this is his brother, or they looked alike, but I didn't really realize it was him. So I'm talking to him, and we had the greatest conversation for about a half hour. Then I'm like, "Are you the Mighty?" And he's like, "I am the Mighty." So he hit the stage a few hours later, and he brought
the goods, man.
And the band and
unreal
for me.
And Lily was,
oh God,
at the time, she was 9. She was in the front row.
Yep. Oh, man.
Right, pressed right up against the front of the stage.
You and Chris literally had seats sitting there waiting all day for this show, right?
Massey's texting right now. Massey's texting right now that he had a blast.
Oh, my God. But Massey will tell you, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
It's the energy. So Friday they're bringing
night,
him back.
This coming Friday night.
Yes.
He'll be at the Town Hall.
Fairleigh Town Hall.
In Fairleigh.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah, there's tickets online. You guys can find it through Root Entertainment. I'm not trying to plug a show, but
why not plug the show?
I literally everybody I know who's into reggae needs to see this if you haven't been there.
Yeah, so, Rooted Entertainment Solutions.
Oh my God, they're doing some amazing
things. Get on
things.
their Facebook page.
They're working
right
with
now.
some amazing artists. They have a great open mic night that has some of the most awesome musicians that I've been around and get to hang out with
on Tuesdays.
Down in Bradford, right? So
right.
But Friday and Van Gordon Martin, right? So I've worked with Van Gordon Martin a few years ago up in Burlington. It was one of those shows we did up in Burlington, and was another amazing guitarist. That these are people that you just don't. It's not your normal.
I know.
Show, right? So.
It's amazing.
I highly recommend it. So people check it out. If you're reggae for this weekend, here's your chance. So and it's an intimate performance venue too. So
Very.
It's a vibe you won't get anywhere. But for me, and we've talked about this a lot. So there's great artists out there that have great albums, right?
Yep.
And then, but when they hit the stage, you're like,
they come alive.
Well, either they come alive or they can't pull it off. You know what I mean? There's something about producing an album in the studio and post-production, stuff like that. And then there's a different vibe when they hit the stage. And what's funny about it is usually, their recorded music isn't as good as their live shows. And then you have the guys who recorded music is way better than their live shows, right?
That's right.
So, and, we talked about a few artists, and then, we can dive right into the music industry because I know me and you've been talking about the Beyonce thing, the Grammys.
Well, here's the thing about the whole Beyonce thing, and we're gonna talk about that in a little bit here. But G and I've been venting about the whole Beyonce thing too, and we got to try to save a little bit of the Beyonce content for Thursday, which is going to be difficult to do this morning. But yeah, man, I want to just briefly touch on sports if we can before we hammer away on Beyonce.
What a season this year, right? For football. What a year
for
basketball.
For everything.
The NBA world got shook the other night with Luka trades.
Oh, it's unbelievable. And you know me. You know that I'm not some sports aficionado. Logan Luce is, though. Good morning, buddy. How are you?
Good morning, JD. How are you today?
Brother, we're doing just fine. Cavs and Celtics tonight. Bruins at home tonight with the Minnesota Wild. Does anybody care about those games? There might be a few. I think most people here care more about the People's Academy and Lamoille game tonight, though. I mean, come on, let's just be honest. But Super Bowl media night last night. Did you get a chance to watch any of that, buddy?
I'm sorry, say that again.
Super Bowl media night last night. Did you get a chance to catch any of that?
I didn't even know that was a thing. What is that?
Well, I mean, you were watching a little bit.
Yeah, I caught a bunch of it and a lot of the interviews. So the interview process started last night, and it's for the week leading up to the Super Bowl, where the players got to sit down and answer media questions. Right, they get to go back and forth. So
yeah.
Some of the highlights were like obviously Saquon Barkley and his amazing year, and how much the Giants really kind of are eating their foot right now. And there's a lot of good storylines in the NFL this year, especially leading up to the Super Bowl. And one of the major lines is, as we all know, is the referee issues, right?
Yeah.
So I'm sure Logan has some thoughts on that. But Terrell Owens was on last night and did an interview yesterday somewhere. I forget who he did the interview with, but he talked about the stageness of the game when he played versus now what he sees. It was a really unique interview, and he kind of really outed the NFL in a way. You know what I mean? Now I don't know how everybody thinks. I love the NFL. I'm a Patriots fan and diehard, so it was a little rough for me this year than the last few years. And then, the offseason's been nothing but filled with, new coach hire. Mike Vrabel's back in New England, which is great.
Yeah.
To me, I think I almost think it's a perfect hire for the Patriots. But, that being said, we'll get back to the Super Bowl because it is this weekend. And, a lot of people, I think it's going under the radar right now just because of what's going on in the world. So a lot of people aren't paying attention to it, really.
Right.
You know what I mean? Because, a lot of my friends who were really just, we're getting amped up for it. But, the political landscape right now, as it be, kind of has everybody distracted, and even I'm involved in opening my mouth a little bit more than I normally do.
Logan, what's your prediction, man?
So I agree, though. So the ref situation is obvious. I think it's been obvious for at least the last, it's been obvious for at least the last 10 years easily, if not 5. But the ref situation has always been funny. But yeah, the league has changed. But I think it's also because of the fact that I don't know how long ago it exactly was, but I'm pretty sure the NFL was kind of sold at some point to the entertainment industry, kind of like the WWE is, kind of like how the NBA is too.
Hell yeah.
So the thing is, the entertainment industry has kind of taken over, and so it become where now it's no longer an actual legitimate sport. It's now it's still a sport. Don't get me wrong. It's still contact. It's still a sport, but the NFL already has planned out ahead of time who's going to the Super Bowl. Because a lot of it came based off of if you look back at the last 4 Super Bowls, for example, and look at for example, the colors they made the Super Bowl, a lot of the teams that have been in the Super Bowl match up with the colors they have for the Super Bowl's logo. It's always relatively been pretty accurate. So it's they kind of plan it. But in terms of the Super Bowl, though, I think I would be very shocked if the NFL doesn't just let, at this point, Patrick Mahomes have his three-peat, but at the same time, I think it would be awesome to see Saquon Barkley get his first ring. When he was drafted by the Giants, I thought he was a great talent, and I knew he had potential, but I just knew that obviously the Giants are a team that just an organization that doesn't really improve. They somehow seem to get worse every year. I don't know if it's me, but they kind of I feel like they kind of shoot themselves in the back every year. And so I think it just comes, hand in hand. But either way, though, I think that when it comes down to the Super Bowl, I hope the Eagles win. But at the same time, I think it would be surprising if the Chiefs don't somehow win it. I would be very shocked, to say the least.
Logan, I gotta agree with you, man. But I was talking to a couple of friends about this last night. It's gonna be really funny to watch the Eagles actually. When if I was the NFL right now with all the news and everybody talking about the refs and being rigged, I would have to say they're gonna. If the Eagles won, I wouldn't be surprised, just so they could kind of shut up the skeptics. But Logan's 100% right, man. It's kind of like the WWE to me. You know what I mean? It's like. It's not that it's not a sport anymore, but it's pre-scripted. We all know who's going to win. We have agendas, and it's all for ratings, right? So if we don't, it's we had Tom Brady for years, really creating a ratings catapult, whether you liked him or not. And the funny thing is you have to have a villain, right? So Mahomes is cherished. He's a new Brady, right? He's a villain now across the country, just like Brady was.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? In Kansas City, he's beloved and loved, but like Logan said, you watch a couple games in his playoffs, and again, it's so blatant. You know what I mean? Yeah. We were talking about this morning.
There's plenty of people that are like, I just not necessarily an Eagles fan, but I would just like to see the Chiefs lose.
Well, yeah, but I agree with Logan. Like the Saquon Barkley whole thing is amazing. He hit the nail on the head with the Giants thing. I just think they're too close to the Jets. You know what I mean? So that's rubbing off on them. But
it's just for example, they have in the past, in the last couple of years, the Giants have had the pieces. Like back when they had Sterling Shepard, or back when they had Darius Slayton. I think Darius Slayton's still there. I'm not sure, but when they had at one point in time, I want to say 2021, maybe 2020, they actually had an offense, for example. They didn't have the defense, but they had an offense because Daniel Jones was sort of doing good still back in 2020 when he first got drafted. It was first, second year. He wasn't too bad. And then and then he kind of fell off, but I think that also came with I think he was just sick and tired of getting sacked all the time. Mm-hmm. I felt bad for him. He was getting constantly sacked. So I think he gave up on the team. So I think that's why they ultimately got rid of him. And why they why they apparently quote unquote mutually split, but he wanted to leave ages ago. And so it's just the Giants are one of those teams where it's they kind of let talent die. They let talent rot, essentially, because what's the new kid they just drafted? Malik Nabers, that wide receiver. I think he's great. I think he's got really great potential, and it's just he's gonna as long as he's on that team, he's just gonna waste his time and potential.
Which I totally agree, dude. Totally agree. I just think people. Here's my problem, and the Saquon Barkley example is a great example because, in the NFL, in most sports of any sport, right? Baseball. I mean, baseball not so much, but basketball as well too. Is they try to force people into a system instead of playing to that person's talent, right? You know what I mean? And every year it has to adjust because you have new talent that arises, a new talent that makes an impact. So if the Giants were smart, they played their system and made their offense what it was, and it was just a weak offense. It wasn't dynamic by any means, and they had the talent there. So they weren't using Saquon the way he should have been used. And then he goes to the Eagles, and you see the Eagles literally be like, this everything that you do good, we're going to utilize, right? So he almost had a record-setting year, you know what I mean, up until the last game where they didn't play him there, but he could have broke a bunch of records this year.
100%. And then he's in the race for the MVP, which is the first time a running back has been in that category for a hot minute. So it's just he alone is very talented. And so him joining the Eagles, when he joined the Eagles, he really opened up the field for himself and showed people that, hey, I'm still that kid that was drafted in the first round for a reason. Yeah. It's not I'm not here for not a reason.
Some of the comments that we're getting this morning, I just hope the refs don't decide who wins. I would love to see a runner-up game the week before Washington and Buffalo.
That would have been a good game, too.
Another comment here. I'm not a big sports guy, but I haven't watched the Giants since Phil Simms and Lawrence Taylor left. Now, that was a team.
Yes. Oh, my God.
The Eagles' offensive line is also 50 times better than anything the Giants put out. These are all comments coming in this morning. Interesting stuff.
Well, Lawrence Taylor, I'm like Lawrence Taylor. I'm like, dang, you haven't watched football in a minute.
But they haven't been worth watching though, right? I mean, let's talk about it. They bumbling coaches.
The last time I would say the Giants were worth watching is when they beat the Patriots in the Super Bowl back in 07, 08. That was like back when Eli Manning was the guy. That was when. That was when the Giants were last relevant.
Don't get me going, Logan. I'm a Patriots fan.
I know. Well, if it makes you if it makes you feel better, you said you're a Patriots fan, right? If it makes you feel better, I'm a Seahawks fan. So 2014 haunts me. Haunts me, man. Haunts me. I'm a big Marshawn Lynch guy. I love him.
Beast mode.
We didn't run the ball. It was run the ball.
Man, Logan, there's so much going on in hoop right now. Dallas Mavericks doing a trade. The Lakers, the Utah Jazz. I mean, what the hell's going on, buddy?
Well, I'm a Lakers fan, so this was a crazy move for me. So for me, I'm pissed because I'm gonna miss AD. AD is an amazing rim protector, an amazing defender altogether. But the thing about the blessing in disguise about this, for me at least personally, is that as much as I love AD historically has been known for being.
When you say AD, please, you're talking about Anthony Davis.
Yeah.
All right.
Sorry, I forgot. I gotta explain this. Sorry.
I explained
to
JD.
He's saying? He's saying, I forgot. You're a dumbass, JD. I forgot.
Not a dumbass, but you don't watch basketball, so I forgot. But no.
Meanwhile, he's wearing a Celtics hat, right?
The Celtics. Yeah. How are you? Yeah, man. Come on. Stop doing yourself dirty. Stop wearing sports hats when you don't know what's going on.
I love it.
I love this kid, man. I can't wait for him to come in and hammer me in the studio. But go ahead, buddy. Go ahead.
Exactly. No, but in all seriousness, though, so yeah, Anthony Davis is short for AD. People just call him AD for short. But anyway, so Anthony Davis though, so him as a player, losing him for the Lakers is huge because we don't right now have a huge power forward / center depth. So big man depth. We don't have a lot of that.
Right?
Yeah, right. Exactly. However, though, getting Doncic in a way in the future is gonna be good for us because the thing is Anthony, I'm looking at it by age. Luka Doncic is 25 years old. He's about to enter his prime, still very young. And if you look up his stats, he is actually crazy. He's on all time in the last 5-6 years. He's already basically averaging almost the same numbers as Michael Jordan. And so the fact that it's we were able to trade Anthony Davis for a European kid who is gonna be the next big thing, in my opinion. I think it's a huge move for us. I feel bad for Maverick fans because they've lost a lot of players in the last few years. They've done a lot of trading in the last few years. And so losing Luka is losing it's like losing Tom Brady. It's like losing Tom Brady for the Patriots. It's you just lost the only guy that's keeping your team afloat. And so now it's I think AD is an amazing piece, and I think he will dominate with the Mavericks, considering before he joined the Lakers, he was very good with the Pelicans. But I just think that this whole trade is crazy because it's just kind of out of nowhere, and it's a wild trade. But for the Lakers, at least, I think it's going to be interesting because tonight the Lakers are playing the LA Clippers. So tonight's game will really show us, was that trade worth it? That's what we're going to find out tonight is was that trade worth it? That will decipher in tonight's game against the Clippers.
Logan, I got a couple of questions for you on this actual thing. I got a lot to ask. You're a Lakers fan. I'm a Celtics fan. So we're going to butt heads here, right? But we're going to appreciate and respect each other.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
So to me, this trade, like you said, makes no sense, right? Because the trade I would have made, and you can argue with me about this, okay, is I would have traded Luka for LeBron. To me, they're the same player almost, right? And then.
No, actually, I would agree. As much as I love LeBron, it's like, well, the thing is, realistically, I just don't think that the Dallas Mavericks would have done. I mean, they could have, but like, I just don't think they would like really benefit for it. Maybe, maybe like they could somehow like, maybe miracle their way in. But like, I think that trade wouldn't really exactly benefit them either way. I think if anything, they
the future, right?
Yeah. No, they 100% better. They 100%. The Dallas Mavericks definitely like, I don't know why I don't know why they wanted AD either way, because the thing is like they have, as of right now, they have a solid big man right now. They have like that young kid Lively. They have brain fart on the other guy, but either way, they have two massive big men. It's like, why did you need another big man, and why would you trade your star shooting guard for another big man? You don't need another big man. So I think for both teams, it doesn't make sense. No. It's a trade that's very confusing. It's a very scratch your head kind of trade, because neither teams really benefit from it. Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, they don't. But watching the Celtics and the Dallas series last year, a team like the Celtics really exposed Luka and his defense. And then what I always loved was like he's team with Kyrie, right? So Kyrie's well known for disrupting teams, being that guy, right? And now when Kyrie's the team leader, there's something wrong. I think there's a lot of friction in the back end about weight, energy, effort, and the complaint and how much he complains, which takes away from the game, right? So he'll stop a game to complain to the ref while 3 plays pass, right? So, it's amazing. And like what a lot of people don't even realize is that Mark Cuban sold the team, so he's not really there pulling the trigger anymore. And everybody thought Luka would be a career Dallas guy. Honestly, I would have gone after KD. I think that would have been a trade that could have been done. Yeah.
I know 100%. I think, like I said, the whole trade is very confusing. However, I agree. But my thing about Luka is like, so people forget about Luka is like, yes, he's not the greatest defender, but I also think that for him, it was also, he's young, he's 25, and it's his first time ever in the finals. I think when I watched that game, I think he still played amazing. I just think he had 100% had like, jitters, obviously, because he's got, you think about it, the Dallas Mavericks, like he's carrying the weight. He's carrying the weight of that whole organization at 25 years old. So as a 25-year-old, even if you're it doesn't matter how good you are, at 25 years old, that's still intimidating. And so it's like, no matter how you look at it, it's like, yes, obvious, but also the Celtics, you got to look at the Celtics. Celtics have an amazing team. You guys have an amazing all-around team. You guys have a great, when you guys got Porzingis, that really helped you guys. You really saved your guys' self with Porzingis, because that he definitely improved your guys' defense. So now when you have a
JD, take that hat off. You're only wearing it because you're bald.
Exactly. But no, but Porzingis definitely saved your guys' defense, and so now, like, obviously now that Porzingis is in the picture, people like Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Derek White, you guys like that can now cook on offense. They can, exactly. They can cook on offense because you have a 7-foot-something, dude who's got like a crazy wingspan and he's got long ass arms. Mm-hmm. So, it's like when you have that, when you have all of those pieces, and then you're playing against as good as the Dallas Mavericks are, with their young roster, I knew. Because I have buddies who are both. I have a buddy who is both a Mavericks fan and a Celtics fan, and so it's like I knew even at the end of the day, it's like when I saw this finals last year, it's like we all knew the Celtics. There was no way the Celtics were going to lose that. It was just like it was one of those things that like they weren't going to lose.
Listen, Logan, I need to get you here in the studio. We're going to let you fly because we're going to shift gears here. But
no, totally.
I just want to tell both of you that. I was at one of Lily's basketball games. I don't know, maybe a week ago or two, and I was wearing this hat. And one of the parents said to me, during the halftime, she's like, "JD, why are you wearing a Celtics hat?" And I said, "Because I was I was part of the team. And Sherilyn says, yeah, you were the mascot.
You're lucky the mascot? Well, I mean, let's touch locally about basketball, right?
Really?
We got some new energy in town about the Coyotes, right?
JD. I'm not gonna lie to you, man. You honestly could fit the lucky role.
He could. But I want to see him jump off the trampoline, do a
I want to see you do a double front
somersault dunk, right? JD, you should reach out to the Coyotes and become their mascot.
Oh God, I can't wait to have Logan in here.
I love when you bring him on, and he's such a he has a great outlook and perspective.
He knows what he's talking about. He knows he loves football, loves football, loves hoop. You know.
Well, he made a great point about the NFL, man, and like it's like the WWE to me. You know what I mean? It's these guys are realizing it, and the problem is we as fans are starting to see it. So when you start to see things like that, it tends to drive the real fans away. You know what I mean?
LeBron, a couple of comments here. LeBron is an old man in basketball years. Another comment saying this move sets the Lakers up for the best LeBron future.
Post LeBron.
And another comment here from Chuck Martin saying, no, you are a dumbass.
Who, me or JD? No.
Oh, God.
Well, the Lakers' view is kind of weird, but like I understand it because LeBron's old. He's not going to be here forever. We like to think he's going to like play to the end of time.
Yeah.
But there's still time to make other changes too. So we could see LeBron leave LA this year. He's made a vocal that he wants to be in Golden State, but he wants to play with his son. So to me, I don't know, like Logan said, it's the same player. They both have an attitude about the game that kind of pulls away from the game to me, and they leave gaps open in what they put on the floor right now with a center, stuff like that. So it's going to be interesting to see because we have another week or so left of till the trade deadline. What's going to perspire with all these teams? And like you said, the Spurs made a nice trade to boost their roster with Wemby. It's going to be great, but I think the Lakers are building for their future, the post LeBron era, and I wish them luck, but because I want to kick their ass in the playoffs again. So,
well, listen, I want to just say here for a second that this morning Lindsay Contois was supposed to be on the air.
I love Lindsay.
And over at the pub in Williamstown.
Oh, my God. I try to go there every week for burgers and
amazing
dogs.
Burger. Amazing burger.
Amazing.
She and a few of her cohorts were going to be coming in here this morning to talk about the Lonnie Wade event. But they've got some stomach bug, which who doesn't have the stomach bug right now?
Oh, my God.
Everybody.
And it's just getting passed around within the family because I've seen her daughter's been struggling. She's been getting sick.
She texted me early this morning and said, we got to postpone. And I was like, of course. And she's like, thanks for understanding. Why wouldn't I understand something like that?
Well, that's a loaded question, JD.
Of course. Listen, when I even slightly don't feel well, I'm not hopping on a mic.
No, well, let's give her some love and respect, man. What a businesswoman who is all about her community. I have been lucky enough to have Connor sit down and do an interview with her, which was awesome. I was able to do their block party this summer, and I was the MC, DJ, host, I guess you could say, of the event.
It was amazing.
And she's always trying to do some community things, and she's got a bunch of other really cool, I guess you would call them craft fair stuff coming up. So, and she's always involved, and the Lonnie Wade thing's amazing.
Always. By the way, the Lonnie Wade dinner and silent auction is coming up on Saturday the 15th. Okay, so that's 1 week from this coming Saturday.
Now, how do people get involved? Is there tickets? Is it donations?
I'll tell you exactly how. You get in touch with Lindsay over at the pub. That's how. I mean, that's all I'm saying.
Well, it's Taco Tuesday today, right? So, guys, run down there and get a taco today, man.
But, yeah, it's going to be amazing. Will there be ice on the lake? I'm going to guess yes.
Yeah. With the temperatures recently?
Well, last winter was horrible.
I don't know if I'd want to be on the lake this year with the wind chills and the temperature.
I also want to mention that I am so thrilled that and this lady has been on the air with me in the past several times, and I absolutely adore her. Linda Mercy is going to be coming on real soon to talk about the Travis Mercy annual ride that they've been doing for I don't even know how many years.
It's been a few now, right?
The benefit for the skate park.
Yep. That's huge too. I mean, we need an outlet for these kids. Not only is it a great benefit, but it's a great project to be involved with because it's really kind of focusing on the kids in our community, right?
Yeah. So Linda's going to be coming on with me really soon. The 19th, she'll be on the air with me, and then
where can people find out more about that, though?
Right on Facebook.
All right.
It's that simple.
What was the link again?
It's the Travis Mercy Memorial Ride.
There you go, guys.
I know, of course, the Barrytown Thunder Chickens are instrumental with that. So you get on the Thunder Chickens Facebook page, and everything you need to know is going to be right there. Randy Henry is going to be doing the food as he has every single year. Barrytown School is where the food is going to be cooked up, where the sleds are going to come in. Hopefully, we'll get a few more inches of snow and kind of soften up the trails a little bit, but it's all even if there's no snow, so many people turn out for that.
Oh God, if you got a snowmobile, how can you not ride out and be a part of this?
And there's plenty of people that are like, if there's not enough snow or whatever, they come by car.
Yeah.
There was a horse and buggy one year.
Really?
Someone came in on a helicopter. I'm making
that. Was that you?
Jesus.
In your helicopter, JD?
Listen, and then the final weekend of February is in the first weekend of March is massive. It's the Freezing Fun for Families Winter Co-ed Softball Tournament to help kids kids and their families who are battling pediatric cancer. So this is huge. 25 years long this thing has been going on.
Now, do they allow people to form teams and join as a team?
Yes.
Like who?
And they have a brand new Facebook page too. Freezing Fun for Families. Get on their page, register your team. We've got one of the top raising teams that is all the way over in New Hampshire. I think they're just outside of Manchester, New Hampshire, or Concord, New Hampshire. They're coming all the way here to sit down and talk about their experience over the last 13 years, not only being a team, but also being one of the top raising teams.
JD, why are we not putting a team together for this? Imagine the names we could come up with.
There's a lot to talk about that. I'm just brushing on it for now.
An amazing event.
It is going to be incredible. I want to read something here because we're this is crazy. We're actually, believe it or not, tight on time, and you and I haven't even
touched anything yet.
Started on anything.
Well, we can go longer, right?
We talked NBA. We talked Super Bowl. We talked
a little bit on the Grammys. We touched base on, right?
We talked about reggae, of course, and Mighty Mystic playing this coming Friday night at the Fairleigh Town Hall. I want to read something here, and G and I are going to take a deep dive in this on Thursday too. Probably a little deeper than you and I will go to today, but on the 67th annual Grammy Awards on Sunday night, with Beyonce taking home the top prize for Album of the Year for Cowboy Carter.
I have some opinions on those.
Hold on. I'm having some chest pains here.
Did you see the look on the crowd's faces?
Yes.
Dude, just not to derail you, but watching everybody sing Kendrick Lamar, Not Like Us.
The win is Beyonce's first in the category after she was previously nominated 4 times.
Shows you what money can buy.
She also nabbed an award for Best Country Album, becoming the first black female artist to win in the category. I'm just reading what's in front of me. Kendrick Lamar dominated the Grammys and won 5 awards, including Record of the Year and Song of the Year for Not Like Us. a diss track aimed at, of course, Drake. Other notable winners.
Dude, there were some performances that
Sabrina
were
Carpenter.
Unreal in that show.
Yeah.
Do you want my personal opinion on
Chappelle Roan. Have you seen any of that?
Oh, man.
Best new artist?
I'm trying to remember.
She's amazing.
The performance that I watched, it blew my mind. You know, the music industry, especially in this last year, right?
Wait a second. We got a comment here from someone, from Linda, who's saying, she's not country.
So I think this is really raising a lot of feathers.
Really? I didn't get that memo.
So, I mean, obviously, we all know that Beyonce put out an album. And, props to Beyonce for the things she's done. Last year, she didn't win the award. She was nominated. And, this year, if you guys have been paying attention to anything in the music industry with, the Diddy things happening and all these people coming out to try to expose the industry and the workings behind it, it's a pretty disgusting industry, you know what I mean? And I've been in it for years.
Thank you for saying the D word, because I was going to say disgusting too.
Well,
you beat me to it.
I used to manage bands. I was in the industry for a long time. I owned Dubtech Productions, so festivals, events, planning, management, stuff like that. And new artists, bringing up new artists. So I mean, it's a pay to play industry. And I think even recently with the Drake lawsuits that are happening. As much as people want to laugh about it and him getting, how he lost this battle, which I definitely agree he lost this battle, but he makes a great pungent point in the lawsuits, right? It's pay to play. And the record industry is really who is the puppeteer behind it, right? So what's ironic is Interscope Records, and they both have deals with both artists, and how they push things, because we, especially in social media, we get fed stuff, right? Whether it's political, music, people, if you want to be big, you pay X amount of money, you buy clicks, you buy this, you buy plays, and as we all know, we've seen some artists that have zero talent explode, right?
Yeah.
And
yes.
We've seen guys with the most amazing talent go nowhere, right? So years ago, I had an artist I was working with, and very well-known artist locally in the hip-hop industry. And you learn that to
locally
get anywhere you gotta spend $10,000. To get anywhere you gotta spend $100,000.
What do you mean locally in the hip hop industry?
Jabal, Knight,
Okay.
Know Your Truth. He was a local guy up in Burlington. I started working with him.
Yep.
He went down to New York recently and was working in and out with a bunch of major artists, right? And has a great sound to him. So when we were putting him together and we're converting all of his catalog over to digital, and he's an amazing guy. He did a live performance when Scarface came in and did, and I have it on my Facebook page, and I'll send it to you. He did Hurt. It was just amazing, right? So this guy has a way to tickle your heartstrings, and kind of he's almost like a Michael Jackson to me in a weird way, or a Neo. You know what I mean? So he recently had a back injury, so he's been struggling to get back on his feet, and he's a struggling artist. He was on the trains making money. But anyways, getting him to that next few steps, because, these guys, you want to be somebody in the very rarely do people get found anymore, right? There's no guys going out, PR guys going out finding people anymore. That's kind of like old technology. The music industry has changed so much in the last few years, especially with, the internet. Nobody buys albums anymore.
Right.
I have this weird thing, we're all going to be racing our past because we don't have albums. We don't have radios. We don't have anything. Everything that we have is either rented, a subscription.
Good luck finding a CD player to buy.
Exactly.
Anymore. My God. I mean, I've got thousands of CDs.
Dude, my phone was off for a day or two, and I was like, I can't even listen to the radio, because we got rid of all these things that we hold on to because we can go watch Netflix and everything's on the internet. But what happens when the internet goes away or power goes out?
There's a generation right now that doesn't even know what a CD is,
which blows my mind. Or like the dial telephones.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen those little videos where they put a bunch of teenagers in a room and they're like,
I have.
They make this work, and they just look at it like,
it's amazing.
Huh?
I just got a comment from Chuck here that's so beautifully written. It says, "Who watches those anymore? Those shows are only for the rich.
Yes,
to stroke each other's ego. Why even waste a minute of your life watching it or talking about it? They're all puffy pinheads."
Well, the talk about it is to, again, Puffy, P. Diddy, I hope that's the reference he's doing. I mean, if you pay attention, you know what's going on with the P. Diddy situation. Like, it really exposes how it works. And, I've been kind of saying this ever since Diddy had his TV show Making the Band, right? Like, there was a lot of weird shit. And what's weird about everything is, and somebody, I call myself a conspiracy realist, as you know. I'm kind of conspiracy minded, but I love information, and I really love digging down holes and finding information. But the weirdest thing is, if you listen, they're literally telling you. Yeah. But nobody wants to listen. Right. We're all half listening because we're so busy. They literally tell you, and people have been telling us for years about the industry, about Diddy, about how people pay to play, about how ever since we lost like Tupac and Biggie. I think everybody's been kind of skeptical, and you know what I mean? Like, we lost a lot when that happened.
The timing was perfect for Beyonce to reveal her concert tour for Cowboy Carter.
Well,
so that's coming out, and now Chuck,
is he going?
He blew my phone up last night. Let's skip out on AC/DC. Let's go to the Beyonce concert instead. And I'm like, Chuck, well, dude, I want to go see AC/DC. Now he wants to go see Beyonce.
Well, you guys can wear your chaps to either show, right? Your assless chaps.
Chuck has assless chaps. I don't. But anyway, this is crazy shit, man.
Well, it's staged, man. It's staged.
It is.
There was another artist, I forget her name. She literally put out like this thank you song to the Grammys about an hour after the Grammys happened. Like, who does that? How do you know this? Yeah. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dude, it's all for show. It's all for clickbait. It's all to draw you away from something else that's happening.
There are so many huge country artists who have never won a Grammy.
How she won this?
I know.
One song. She literally has one song that got even any airplay, that was even remotely airplay. And now, if you listen to the song, I think I sent you this message the other day, and I don't want to cut you off, JD, but let me get this thought out. Do you remember American Woman back in the 70s, right? American Woman was sung by The Who, right? Well, not The Who, I forget the name now because I'm ahead of myself. But anyways, regardless, that song was literally written to be an insult to American women, and we loved it. We ate it up. We didn't even get the theme of the song. Dude, when I listened to that
The Guess Who
Beyonce song, The Guess Who, thank you.
Lenny Kravitz did the best version of it, though, in my opinion.
Oh, but great. But it's literally a diss track, right? So the other thing I want to point out beyond the diss track thing is, like, to me, this whole Beyonce thing, every time I hear it, her I forget the name of the song now, but every time I hear
Cowboy Carter?
Well, that's the album, right?
Yeah.
The song was oh, fuck, I forget the name of the song now. I got distracted by your mailman.
I hope Beyonce's not listening.
Dude, to me, it's a diss track to country people.
This is a diss track to Beyonce that you can't even remember the name of the song, Joe. I mean, how disrespectful is that?
Dude, it's a diss track to country music. If you listen to the fucking words she's singing, it is a diss track. She's mocking the industry, and we eat it up. Like, I don't get it. Every time somebody mocks something, we eat it up. Politically, musically, it blows my mind. We have politicians that mock people, and half the country's like, oh, my God, he called someone a midget.
Yeah.
Whatever, you know what I mean? And I don't want to say rude words because that's crossing my integrity line, right? But, we have a complete lack of integrity that we...
Wait a second. You have integrity?
I try to.
Okay.
I try. I mean, some people might disagree with that, but...
Chuck's pissed now. He wants to come down here and kick my ass because I created a rumor that he wants to go see Beyonce over.
No, he's more mad that you outed him on the assless chap thing, man.
You did, not me. You brought up the assless chaps, not me. Did I tell you that Chuck and I have tickets for AC/DC?
Well, I knew you
at Gillette.
Oh no,
we do.
That's going to be an awesome show.
He said to me, he texted me, he's like, dude, I am literally going to be holding your hand the entire time we're at this concert.
I think Chuck should put you on his shoulders. and you can flash the band, JD. Woo!
I am going to be making
Whip
a
'em
flag.
out Wednesday.
Though. I am making a flag. I'm going to be flying a flag.
No, but for the two of you guys, that's awesome because I know how much they mean to you guys.
Texas Hold'em?
And you've been talking about, Texas Hold'em. Dude, it's a diss track to me. Listen to the words, and if
Thank
you
you,
disagree
Ian.
with me, tell me. If you guys have heard the song, I'd love to hear your opinion on it, whoever's tuning in, listening, typing in. It's a diss track, insult to country music. It's a mockery.
You know who's loving these?
And how'd she beat Chris Stapleton?
You know
How'd she
who's
even beat
loving-
Jelly Roll in this
I know.
thing? Like, Jelly Roll has been...
You know who's loving these songs is my kid.
I was just going to say
10 years old, elementary school. They know every song. And they're singing it all. They're singing it on the bus. By the way, Jelly Roll has lost 120.
He's doing great,
pounds.
Dude,
now he's going to be running in a 5K.
Dude, awesome, raising money. He's working with the police. You know what?
This looks amazing.
I'm gonna.
Did you see him and Bert Kreischer?
Yeah, so funny, huh?
Oh my God, man!
Dude, and Bert Kreischer with
Tom Segura.
No, I can't think of his name. The guy with the country guy now with all the tats on his face. I'll think about it in a minute. My mind's slipping because it's ahead of itself.
Jelly Roll.
No, Bert Kreischer's doing a bunch of commercials with Oh, guys, help me out here. I know you know who I'm talking about.
Somebody
Sunflower,
will help
the guy who sings Sunflower, right?
Somebody's going to help you, Joe.
And they're in their golf outfits, and it's been funny. But he also made the transition to country and made a huge impact on how he didn't get nominated or considered. Post Malone, thank you. His album to me is better than
Ian is saving
Beyonce.
our ass this morning. Ian is saving our ass this morning.
Well, my mind's still in the politics and some cannabis stuff that I have been working on lately, and relaunches and rebranding and a couple podcasts that we're trying to get launched. And I was approached about going and becoming a big part of a big thing happening in Massachusetts on that level.
What?
But I think we're going to bring back my award-winning podcast, In the Weeds. So we're working on bringing that back to the masses. So if anybody knows, we've multi-award winning. I've got Influencer of the Year awards. With
Did you just drop that?
I think I did. Either way, I think it's time. So I stepped away from the industry for a while. And I'll be honest, there was a lot of things that happened in the back, and I kind of bit my tongue and held my integrity, and I could have outed and ruined a bunch of people's careers. And I just walked away, you know what I mean? Because I'm one of those people, it's like, I work off integrity. I do the best I can to help. And like, as you know, once people start attacking you for the stupidest shit that is not real and assumptions and BS and not really appreciating the work that you've done and put into, and for me in that area, it was, we're doing the Bubba Kush stuff, the Green Nurse stuff, the Rick Naya stuff. We're building multi-million-dollar companies. In the Weeds blew up. We're making products.
Can you get Rick Simpson in here?
Probably. I can give him a few calls. Mike Wise is a friend of mine that I have the most amount of respect for, who is a huge activist. He's out of the country right now. But, me and Rick Simpson were neck and neck for an Influencer of the Year award in one part, and Rick's done some amazing stuff. If anybody doesn't know who the Rick Simpson is, it's RSO Oil. It's really an amazing thing that saved tens of thousands of lives fighting cancer, right?
Well, listen, I don't want you to reveal too much, but we're planting a little teaser.
In the weeds, buddy.
And you and I have so much to talk about, and
you're gonna love this. So now, if anybody out there, cannabis-wise, hears me, call me. Let's get this show going. I just think there's a void in the industry right now again. You know what I mean? Now that we started for a gray area, it was an educational show. We had doctors, lawyers, everybody on the show. We interviewed everybody from the Rick Simpsons and the Ed Rosenthals, right down to our local growers, right? So I think everybody has a voice. I think everybody has perspective, right? And now, we have legalization here in Vermont that's happening, and it has happened. And where do we stand? How do we move forward? There's new things happening in Mass where I was deeply involved with now the fact of being able to open it up for all sales everywhere, right? So you can go into your local VFW and buy weed now. You know what I mean? And that's where they're going down in Mass. And the markets are vastly different. I mean, and and it keeps getting brought up in the news. Elizabeth Warren even brought it up yesterday, and it was kind of in a response to Trump and the what's going on in our administration. But we got to stop. We have so many states that are legalized now, and we really have to stop this federal prosecution and realize that this industry's created. What was it? Last year, it brought in $38.19 billion of revenue into their states. Okay, now if you guys don't understand what the new cannabis can do to your state, everybody, as a long-time cannabis user and advocate, right? You got guys that they get high and they get fucking drooling on themselves and sitting on the couch. And you get people that get really focused at work, but you've never heard of anybody dying, and you never heard anybody murdering somebody because they were high. And the health benefits are beyond substantial, right?
I think if you're gonna resurrect your award-winning podcast In the Weeds, I know that you also have to speak to what's going on right now with a huge movement of the anti-cannabis campaign that's going on for high potency edibles and high potency cannabis. And there is a campaign right now that is massive right now, and there's a lot of doctors that are involved with this. And they've got actual commercials that they're playing not only on TV but also on radio. On the way in today. But they're they're also all over the internet, and there's a lot that has to be said about that about that stuff, and there's a ton of misinformation, a ton of myths.
Oh, dude, that's
why
I
would love to. I had Nick on from Forbins. And Angela. I would love for you to have them back.
I reached out to them recently to be a guest, be a part of the relaunch, being that they're so local. And honestly, as a guy, I'm not a big dispensary fan. I have my own personal reasons, and I'm a medical cannabis supporter, and I think there's a whole industry that a lot of us are missing out on. And then with the way like Colorado and a couple other states went, they started medically, they went to just a basic system, and they forgot the medical system, right? So
wow. Here's a guest for you. Chuck says, I know a guy a few years ago, great man, ended up spending 3 years of his life in prison for having a bag of weed too close to school property at a Grateful Dead show.
Yeah.
Came out of prison a ruined man. That boy should get some sort of conversation for
Dude, some states are fighting for that social equity and compensation for the people who spend time behind bars, and sadly, there's stories like this everywhere. And then we look at these guys who are pedophiles and murderers, and they go and get a slap on the wrist. And yet, dude, I years ago I was in Boston. I was in a car. And we had a bag of weed, and I'm not going to say whose it was. It was mine, but I'm not going to say whose it was. It was over the visor.
Don't say it was yours.
I don't know who it was, but it did belong to me.
Right,
And the sad part was like some amazing Bubba Kush, like the real Kush back in the day. But anyways, long story short, same stuff happens. I'm in court. I got busted with it. I was in the passenger seat. A kid was driving my car. He's being an asshole. Got us pulled over. And they found cannabis. And then it was right at the end where in Massachusetts it was medically legal, but they were, the judges down there, and right before they ended, like, they basically, I'm trying to remember the name of the system, but they were basically ending the charging people of cannabis. And I was one of the last guys to go through, and I got nailed, dude. They nailed me hard. Fines and stuff like that.
Okay.
But the guy ahead of me was a guy who molested his 2 daughters. Okay, and it was really a disturbing court case because this guy was happy about it. The judge was whatever, and he got probation. You know what I mean? and you got probation, not allowed to be on a computer, and like it just made no sense to me. And in my opinion, that's destroying our youth way more than cannabis ever could. I'm a huge proponent to education. So like what you're saying here, I think there's a lot of conversation about cannabis, but there's no education anymore. You know what I mean? Within the Weeds, Prohibition Talk Radio, we were about education. We were the first podcast to be on FCC airwaves, which was, you know, we broke a lot of number ones. I've been judges at big events. I've been supportive, but again, medical industry stuff. But there's a big, huge, like you said, gray area, and right now we're back in that gray area. And now as we start to move to social consumption, and you know, I think we're starting to veer away from the medical benefits and the medical stuff, and we're just kind of getting smoke shops out there, social consumption stuff out there, where we kind of need to pull it back. But like I believe that, you know, a medical patient deserves, you know, medical grade cannabis, and I mean like wash in, wash out, very clean rooms. And this is where I kind of argue with people. Like, I think all the states should have the right to decide what they decide within their states, right, for anything really. And we need to give the states back more of their power. So if you don't like what the state is doing, you can say, fuck you, I'm going to go to the next door state, right? But medical-wise, we need to have a government, like, basically, the government needs to kind of set up some regulations and guidelines, right, and hold people accountable, because I think that, you know, your medical grade cannabis shouldn't be, you know, someone's backyard cannabis, you know what I mean? And I'm not trying to insult anybody who grows backyard cannabis, because I've had some amazing backyard cannabis, not going to lie. But, you know, they have to meet certain criteria, they have to grow in certain medians, they have to meet certain levels. And like you said, there's an issue with edibles and the amount of
the potency,
of THC, the potency,
percentage,
right?
Yeah.
In California, what's unique is their allowable amounts are very low, so you have to buy quite a bit. You know, in certain states it's high, it's certain like that. You know, so our cannabis nowadays is not the cannabis it was 20 years ago. But people need to be educated. So the biggest thing I run into dealing with patients and we'll call it new cannabis users is the fact that they have no idea what they're taking, right?
Sure.
So you have somebody that has like ADHD, OCD, they have, you know, they're high revving all the time like me, and then they go smoke. And I don't want to use sativa indica hybrid bases, because I think we've moved beyond that to a terpene kind of a base in the industry. But this makes sense to more people, is if you're going to smoke a sativa, it's going to give you anxiety. It's going to get you racing. And then you as the person are the one that has to sit there for, you know, 30 minutes and deal with this, right? Which I don't think helps the industry, or, you know, it gives that person anxiety about trying it again, when it's actually very beneficial to whatever they're dealing with, right? And then there's the opposite side of that spectrum as well, where, you know, we all love a good heavy indica that will have me sitting here laughing all day long, where I can't move my arms and I'm drooling on myself. That's not an answer for somebody else either. I think people really need to take a broad aspect to it, of like, there's 3 types of stuff you should take every day. You know, that sativa to get you going, that hybrid to keep you stabilized all day, and that indica at the end. But people don't realize this, and then they go to these dispensaries, and they got people that don't have a fucking clue what's going on.
Right.
They just pretend they do their salesman, right? I can't tell you how many times I've sat there and had deep conversations with everybody. And nowadays, everything's really a hybrid, because it's been so cross and cross and cross and cross. But that education is and figuring out what the people are looking for. So, you know, that guy that wants to go out to a concert tonight, smoke some weed, and have all this energy should not be smoking a heavy indica, right? But if you need to go to bed at night, you should be smoking a high rev sativa, right? So you have to learn what's going on. You have to understand what's really going on, and then you have to understand what the best effective. You know, to me, live resin, edibles don't work for me, so I end up doing like 5,000 milligrams. I have a habit of going to cannabis shows and just eating everything I can, and it doesn't really affect me. It just gets me a little body buzz, but the hangover the next day is...
You're going off this morning.
Oh, dude, I got a lot to say, man. You know me.
Listen.
You got pineapple me, remember?
Slow down now. Let's pace this out. I obviously...
Well, I'm passionate about...
I know you are. It's very obvious. And I agree.
And we got politics in it. You know what I mean?
There's politics in everything,
Dude.
and we need to keep all of us, not just Vermonters, but all of us,
but we're spending
as educated as possible.
Exactly.
We're
spending $4 billion a year to fight it right now, and
Yeah.
we have raids going on in California, and we have raids going on in legal states, which
Yeah.
just blow my mind. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So
we have a little bit of we're teasing this morning what we're talking about, but we have a major announcement in the near future. You and I are going to work this out off the air, but safe to say you'll be back sitting on that couch soon.
Hopefully.
Okay.
I'm here whenever you need me.
All right.
But can we touch on one thing really quick? And I know you don't want to go here, and I don't want to go here.
Yesterday's show about the J.J. Newberry building.
Well, I mean, there's an issue as well. Like, did I bomb your comment thread?
No, I love that.
Well, I think Barry needs to look at this, right? Like,
is this where you wanted to go?
No, it wasn't where I wanted to go. I wanted to brush on politics a little bit, but not dive into it. But I think there's a divide there as well. So, but that you're in Barry, downtown Barry needs a renaissance, right? But me as a business guy, try to get into Barry. I've worked for Barry people. There's a lot of politics behind the scenes in Barry that really drive business away. So I hope that they can get this building going, but there's a couple concerns of mine that, as I raised the other day, it's flooding, right? And I was hoping to see some of the local business owners chime in on that, but they're kind of quiet. Flooding. We're going to raise this building a foot. Dude, how much water did you have in your studio last flood? You know what I mean? I don't think a foot works. And then these new buildings that were built higher than the floodplains, the banks didn't come back, right? So a lot of businesses were beat. The biggest thing is the politics behind it, the fact that these buildings sit empty for a couple different reasons. One, because they're so overly priced, it's hard for anybody to do it unless you're a corporation. And Barry's not big enough to draw a major corporation in here because we don't have the parking. There's no infrastructure. For me to come to the studio is hard to find parking in the back, right?
Before you continue, you really ought to catch the news today in Vermont here about the Department of Housing and Community Development talking about land banks. This is a really interesting, and listen, I think it's interesting. You might not think it's interesting, but if you are paying attention to any of this, just Google it up. It's everywhere. It's on CAX, Department of Housing and Community Development. They're talking about something called land banks, where they're basically going to be trying to utilize these underutilized, old, buildings, non-efficient properties.
Well, you know what?
And listen, 36,000 homes by 2029 is what Vermont has to build, and 40,000 homes by 2030. Middlebury is jumping on this, and they are building all kinds of homes down there.
And we should be.
And that's in the news right now.
Downtown needs a hotel. Downtown here needs parking. Downtown, and
when Steve McKenzie said he would love to see a hotel in the J.J. Newberry
but look what we've done with the local hotels, JD. You know what I mean? We've kind of overloaded them with. We kind of took them off the market. You know what I mean? I've had people that want to come here, and they're like, "Wait, what hotel can I stay at?" I'm like, "That's a fucking great question." You know what I mean?
Right.
And we don't have a hotel that's even like a Holiday Inn or
the Comfort
anything.
Inn. It's the Comfort Inn, Exit 7.
Yeah, and we have, in Montpelier, we have the Capitol Plaza, right? And
That's it.
I used to work there, whatever. But even then, flooding, we have all these issues that we need to address before we start bringing in companies and building buildings and things like that. But we need to start building more, I don't want to say city-style buildings. I don't want to see any 15-minute cities, especially in Vermont. But, people want to come here. People do come here. But to come here, you have to buy a house or get an Airbnb. There's really – and the quality of – what's available for hotels around here really isn't that great. You know what I mean?
Right.
So let's bring in a beautiful hotel. Let's bring in some business. Let's bring in some local. We got to make it affordable for local people to come back and do business. You know what I mean? I wanted to open something in Soups and Greens, and if I told you that story behind the situation, we have real estate agents, I'll say, that are being greedy, and then they're forcing me to rent their properties while overpricing other people's properties. It's a game. You know what I mean? And how can somebody pay $10,000 a month rent on something? Carlo from Positive Pie was in Barry, and I'm sure you should get him on just to talk about the politics and the business and pizza, right?
Right.
an amazing person to talk to about that, as he has positive Pie Montpelier and Hardwick and Plainfield, right? So there's lots of things to do, and economic building is not an easy thing to do, especially in a city like this.
All right. Listen, I'm assuming that your wanting to talk about politics has something to do with this trade war.
Yes. So again, I don't normally talk politics because I believe it's a very dividing issue.
Did you see what happened last
night? Now China is tariffing us, but we have to understand what tariffs are, right?
Hold on. We don't have time to talk about what tariffs are because we're so tight on time here. And I just dropped a link on Facebook I think yesterday, about what are tariffs.
Yes.
The good, the bad, the ugly, all of that stuff.
Yep.
That's anyone can read that, anyone can Google it, but I put a link up on Facebook. But there was some news last night that Canada and Mexico were tapping the brakes here for 30 days, I think. I think it's what it is. It's 30 days.
We didn't win this, in my opinion.
Okay. Fair enough. But we're in a pause right now for 30 days.
Hey, the Superbowl's coming up. We need power and avocados, right? Even Trump's like, I'm not going to let my guacamole go this year, So,
but seriously, there's some news. There's a pause.
Yep.
We're all going to be taking a deep breath here and see how this pans out. But now China's pissed.
Well,
and they're coming back with 15%, I think?
Yeah, I mean, the tariff thing, outside the tariff thing, what we're doing as a country is we're dividing ourselves. I was actually really amazed yesterday, and if anybody knows me and you're on my Facebook page, you'll know that I kind of dove into it yesterday. And a lot of people have written me and said how much respect they have for me for being I try not to be biased, right? I think there's three sides to everything. Your side, my side, and the right side, or your perspectives, right? So I've learned a lot to deal with perspectives and to try to understand what a perspective is. You had Rex on last week, which started off as a great conversation about building, the impact of the economy, the trickle-downness of how to afford. And you know what? We're too busy listening to what people are telling us to make our own assumptions, or not our own assumptions. I hate assumptions, right? To make our own decisions, right? So, and there's a divide, and that divide is purposely done, and especially in politics. I'm one of those firm believers, as you know, that we can't get nothing done until we can sit at a table and talk, and you respect me, I respect you, and it's okay. We can respect each other, that we have different opinions, but we'll go get a beer afterwards, right?
Yep.
It's when we start feeling threatened, or too many times in today's day and age, people have this complex where once they feel threatened, it's I hope your family dies, you're a piece of shit, I'm going to deflect and blame everybody else around this situation that's in front of you. Now, we've done this for years, which has dug us into a huge hole, in my opinion, almost to a point where it's like, where do we find the out? How do we fix this, right? You know what I mean? So, like, to me, the tariff war is ridiculous, because we're starting a tariff war, and I don't want to say a war, because it's not really a war, based on drugs and immigrants coming into the country, right? And that's the basis of it, according to what everybody says, right? So there's a drug problem in this country. I get it. There's all this stuff. But when the government has supported the drug thing, and secretly DEA, FBI, CIA, anybody knows, like, the Barry Seal story. Anybody who's followed and saw understands what that was all about. You know what I mean? And it's this weird, funny thing. It's like it's like there's an organization, we won't say organizations, who are supplying certain things to certain people, so that the same organization can come back around and bust those people who they supplied. You know what I mean? It's kind of like job security, right? And we do it in multiple aspects of the pharmaceutical industry is a great example. You know what I mean? The pharmaceutical companies are creating the drugs that they are also producing the cure for, right? Or it's benefiting them on both sides, and we're seeing that too much in the world, right? So with the politic thing, the trade war, all that stuff, why are we not looking at the real issues? Like, why are and as much as I hate to say I agree with this current administration on certain things, what they're doing is needed, but the way they're going about it is 100% wrong. Like Elon Musk walking into offices and taking personal information when he's just trying to figure out, reallocate and stuff like that. You want to shake up some stuff, go shake up some stuff. But let's not fire everybody that's in the way. To me, it's more, we're firing good people that maybe they're dirty. And yes, I think every organization needs to be looked at again, and mismanagement of funds and stuff like that. And we can point to any president. They all done it, right? To me, they're all the same. It's just, I think the powers that be that control this even more. The biggest thing we got to do is get money out of politics, right? We got to stop these lobbyists. We got to stop the big pharma, the big oil companies, because they're crushing technologies that could really benefit people. They're crushing cures that could be saving lives, so they can make $1. It's kind of like the whole cannabis conversation, where they can't take cannabis off a Schedule 1 drug, which blows my mind. So it's up there with heroin and everything else. They can't reschedule it so we can start actual government research, which there is. There's a lot of universities that have done research. But until we can, look at what we've done internally, I don't think we're going to fix anything. It's all just smoke and mirrors. And again, to me, the last 8 years of politics, 12 years, maybe even more, have been nothing but a pissing contest where, it doesn't even matter what the subject is anymore. It's like what Rex had said last week. We act like we're on a team. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter what it is or what you say. We have to win. I have to win. My team's going to win. I'm not going to listen to what you say. And and as we know, like especially in business, this is where it blows my mind, because in business, you have a successful business. You bring in all aspects, all perspectives. You sit them down at the table and you hash it out. And you find the common ground that works for everybody, right? Yeah. And that's what we need to do. So, some people do it very brashly and very insulting, and whatever their character is, and we won't name names there. And we have people that can do it and be the best speakers in the world, and their party's still doing shady shit too. So, like the Democratic Party, the Republican Party, I'm sorry, we need to blow this up. Like to me, we need to get rid of this two-party system and develop, whether it's a board, chairman, however you want to call it, you know what I mean? And then we got to look at Congress and the Senate that is allowing, and the bills that are allowed. Like we talk about taxes, right? What really helped this country is if the corporation started doing taxes. You know what I mean? The tariff war, we're hoping to bring business back into America. Now, I'm not an economist. I'm not anybody special, but I'm just a realist who's run businesses, and I run the consumer businesses like restaurants and mechanic shops and stuff like that. It's a trickle-down economy, and there's so many middlemen that, like, look at it now with inflation and all this stuff. You mean to tell me inflation wasn't a greed grab? You know what I mean? We have these billionaires that aren't paying taxes. They know every loophole. We even talked about the real estate, how you can get around, in loans. And when the government gives you a loan, you don't have to pay taxes on it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So we have all these programs that we really need to reel back in, really, really look at what we're doing. And there's a lot of people that are getting hurt in this at the end of the day. But anyways, the divide, right? So yesterday, Facebook page blowing up over this trade war BS, because I'm the guy that goes, I'm trying to be a realist here, right? And I want to open my perspectives to everybody on both sides. Let's just not argue about it. Let's not point fingers. Let's not blame Obama from how many years ago, which in act, Trump was right behind him again. This is the funniest thing. We all want to blame Obama for shit how long ago. That's for today, where we've had how many presidents since, including number 45, right? So, but I think that even as a presidency, these guys have a stranglehold that they're not allowed to do anything they say. Like, hey, we're supposed to have cheaper eggs, and all these things come down. That a realist knows that's never going to happen, right? That's economics, right? But as the tariffs go, our importers pay it. Our country's paying it. It's not like a tax on goods where they have to pay the tax before they can sell in our country. They just send over what they have. We just hope that with our taxes, that import tax, that we stop buying their products, which that's where it hurts. But let's talk about bringing business back to America, JD, right? What's the number one reason why we ship these countries, why these countries are leaving America, right? It's because of the cost of labor and the taxes, right? So those are two most important parts that we need to look at. Now, McDonald's, I saw somebody complain the other day, they spent $16 on a McDonald's breakfast the other day. Now, and they're pissed off, they're bitching, they're complaining, but I'm like, well, remember 5 years ago, that McDonald's employee was making $12 an hour, right? Now they're making $22 an hour. You have somebody somewhere, it has to get covered, right? So the more we want in pay, the more our pay scales go up, the more products are going to go up. And then we have fuel, and then you have packaging. Like, a fryer later oil quadrupled, chicken quadrupled. So if chicken quadruples, how can I keep it the same price? Right. You know what I mean? And like with this tariff deal, 25% tariffs, that's a hard eat for anybody, right? It's going to trickle down the economy. And I got an argument with a guy talking about, he was an importer, and he was like, I just pushed that off on somebody, but we'll bury it. You know what I mean? But I'm like, the problem is the greed already. So how are these greedy corporations going to bury 25%? They're not. It's going to trickle down to us. It's going to trickle down to us.
It's the root of all
evil,
They
know we're
going
to pay it because we have no other choice, right? But now, with this whole China thing, we send $700 billion of exports of our products to China, right? What happens when they cut us off, right? We already don't have enough labor in this country, and we can have that argument all day long. It's like a 4% unemployment rate right now, and we can't get people to work. And I think it's the biggest problem is like we can't get people off their asses to go get that job. You've talked about it many times on the show. There's a lot of hardworking people that are working their asses off, getting nowhere because current tax structures and BS. And we got guys that do nothing and get all the help in the world. You know what I mean? And that's, whether it's a liberal, Republican, Democrat thing, we have to stop that, right? Because we're allowing these people, especially when COVID hit, the whole, paying people to stay home. All the checks that were given out, which I never took one. I couldn't do it. And I laughed because all the Trump supporters took them happily. And I'm like, everything we do is so anti-belief in what we fight for. We're almost contradicting ourselves every corner, right, as people. We need to stop doing that. We need to start holding people accountable. Like, how does some of our politicians who make $200,000 a year worth $200 billion? You know what I mean? That's a problem to me. If you're a politician, you shouldn't be able to own stocks or have control of the world and things like that. And now with social media, we see like Elon Musk here, right?
Yep.
A bunch of different things. Elon
Boy,
has the power to
to
cancel people and to dump Doge coins and to wreck companies by just tweeting something, right? That, again, people guys, it's like don't believe everything you read, right? But research what you wonder, right? So we have computers at our fingertips, but even nowadays, like I was saying the other day, I turned on Facebook and I'm reading all the replies. Basically, the plane crash, right?
Yep.
Like how we can blame DEI.
Oh, God.
And people wonder why we can't get behind, support somebody when they're just saying stupid shit like that, right? I know because I'm a smart man. You obviously are not a smart person, blah, 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 right? I know. It's common sense. You're like, wait, shut the fuck up. Like, this was not the time or places to do things. So as much as you want to try to support somebody and what they're trying to do, when you shoot yourself in the foot, you shoot yourself in the foot, right? So, again, some people will portray a vision of themselves, which is beautiful, and other people are just real and blunt. Now, I know people speak from the hip, but even with that accident, let's say, with the helicopters and the plane, right? A realist, I've flown planes. They're working on 2 different cycles. They're short-staffed. We get it. People don't understand that we fired how many people we forced them to take severance. Say you don't like it, here's $700,000. Get the fuck out today, kind of mentality. We're gonna fire all your monitors. And I thought I did a pretty good reference to an Applebee's restaurant. And I'm not trying to pick on Applebee's. Just we all know what Applebee's is, right? Now I'm in the restaurant industry. If you fire the fucking manager in Applebee's, and then 3 people walk out because you told them you're going to give them like a year's pay to leave, and now you got 4 people standing in Applebee's trying to make it happen, right? They're doing their best. They're going overboard. They're trying to make stuff happen. Now, again, not necessarily what I would say was the cause of the problem, but it doesn't help anything, right? So you're pulling from everywhere to try to cover your needs, right? So they were short-staffed. They admitted it, right? But what I couldn't deal with was the fact that...
What's the salary of an air traffic controller these days, on average?
I would have to imagine it's got to be 150 to 200. The numbers that I saw were 150, like 220. So it's a good paying job, but it takes skill, right? These are skilled workers, and now we're going to use DEI as a reason to get rid of them. They wouldn't be there if they weren't skilled, right, or trained properly, right? Now, you can find anything you're looking for, but when you hear several different versions of air traffic controller stuff, because now we have AI, we have people that, I'm trying to remind people, even with AI robotics, we're going to have 20 billion robots by 2030. Like, there's another concern of, like, what happens when 1 million people lose their jobs? It's going to be fucking chaos, dude. If you can't feed your family and you can't pay your rent, it's going to be chaos, right? We are creating a downfall of humans, in my opinion, but that's another discussion. All I ask for people is to open your mind, open your heart, listen to someone's perspective, and have an honest, deep conversation, and educate you or them on something, because we'll both benefit from it, right? Let's stop insulting. Let's stop finger pointing. Let's be accountable.
And stop trying to convince someone else to
believe what you believe.
To believe what you believe.
So my favorite quote, 900 ways to cook an egg, right?
Yeah.
You've probably heard me say this how many times. I say this to everybody because I want to know what you're thinking. Educate me.
Right.
If I'm wrong, I will happily admit I'm wrong. But that starts with accountability, which nobody has. That's the biggest problem. Nobody wants to admit they're fucking wrong on anything. And you know what? We're all probably a little wrong on something, because even the best people that are supposed to be the best in their industry are not always right. We take science. Always trust the science. But if you watch science lately and you're into the COVID or the vaccines, you know that there's lots of contradicting information from professionals in their field. So who do you believe nowadays, right? So, I mean, again, we're going to open up a can of worms. I'm sure we're going to get some responses that aren't going to be friendly, and there's going to be responses that are going to be supportive. But
the most important word you said was listen. I mean,
listen,
we
respect.
just have to listen.
I'm going to respect your opinion.
Yeah.
And, we might not agree on everything, but we're going to go have a beer afterwards, and we're going to have fun, because I enjoy you as a person. I was arguing with this guy the other day. He was doing nothing but insulting me. He was literally saying the same thing I'm saying. And I'm trying to explain this to him, and I'm like, you know what, dude? Like, as you're sitting here disrespecting me, I'm actually respecting you more, because you're standing your ground, but you're not educating me. So educate me. Like,
at some point, your time isn't really worth it. Sometimes it's just worth.
It's worth the conversation.
It's worth the conversation, but if it's not going constructively and it's not going well, then you're wasting your time, Joe.
At some point in time, you can't teach a rock anything, right?
Well, so there you go. Listen, we gotta fly. We're tight on time. Obviously, there's plenty more that you and I can talk about, Joe.
Like we tell our kids, right? And I know you do. I tell Connor this, and this is what I'm going to end our interview on, right? Is I tell Connor all the time, I can't fix anything if you're not willing to have a conversation about it.
Yeah.
When I mean conversation, it's not like deflect. It's not blame somebody else. It's not anybody. It's take accountability for your thoughts, your actions, and your feelings, okay? Yeah. Now, he broke a screen the other day. Great thing. Came right in, telling me he took accountability. When somebody takes accountability, no matter what they do, how can you be mad at them? You know what I mean? I'm going to tell you I'm a fucking idiot on all sorts of things that I know a lot of stuff on, because I still feel like, if you're not learning every day, then you've lost the game. If you're not open-minded to again, you want to have business development, we got to sit down and talk about it. Yeah. We have people that are on the multiple sides in anything, right? So just remember that. If we can't sit down and have a conversation, we can't fix anything. And then respect that person across the table from you.
Listen, I did my my homework. I want to go out with this morning. Okay? Just real quick. You ready? Dierks Bentley
wins Hip Hop of the Year award.
0 wins, but he wins the award for the most country nominations.
Well, it's
hold on.
It's a farce, man.
He's been nominated. He's been nominated for 15. Post Malone has been nominated 18 times with no wins. Martina McBride has been nominated 14 times and never won. She's 0 for 14.
Those are some amazing artists.
Independence Day didn't win a Grammy?
No. But like I said, you look at Beyonce, she had one song. She had one song on the major play on the airwaves.
Jamie Johnson has been nominated 10 times with no wins. Wow.
But Beyonce, and I'm a DJ forever, right? So like Beyonce to me hasn't even been in my rotation since 2000s, right? She had some great hits.
Eric Church is also 0 for 10. Luke Combs 0 for 8 until Sunday night when he was 0 for 9.
Yeah, I read about that as well.
Ain't No Love in Oklahoma.
Dude,
Blake Shelton has been nominated 8 times with nothing to show for it.
Mm-hmm.
Toby Keith, 0 for 7.
Dude, it's bought by the record labels.
Kenny Chesney, 0 for 6. Yep. Thomas Rhett and Jason Aldean are both 0 for 5. This shit
and those are like almost like your top 20 artists, right? You know what I mean?
Absolutely disgusting. It is disgusting. I cannot believe it.
Like I said, people are making a mockery of the industry. The Beyonce thing just blows my mind. But then again, there's a lot to unpack in that conversation between Jay-Z, billionaires, the Diddy stuff.
Morgan Wallen, not even getting a nomination and being the biggest star in country.
Well, dude, last year he released how many songs and how many out? Dude, unfucking real the amount of music he released, and every song did amazing, right? How does he not win awards? It's politics, man. He got himself into trouble doing some dumb shit, and nobody wants to put him on a pedestal, right? I think the biggest thing with Beyonce shit is that last year Jay-Z threatened everybody. And with all the turmoil happening around them this year, and we won't need to go down that pedophile kind of a rope because they're sex trafficking kids. But anyways,
no,
it's smoke and mirrors, JD. If you notice, Jay-Z threatened the Grammys last year. Jay-Z made a bunch of huge donations to certain places that kind of got him. And I guarantee you, he was in the background, and I think has an association to the Grammys, which even kills me even more.
Oh yeah,
on the board or whatnot.
Oh
but
my God.
I would have to venture to guess that to help bury like the whole Diddy situation. That it was kind of like her doing the halftime show recently.
All right.
Whatever, you know where I'm going, but it's a pay to play. The Interscope Records, all those guys. If you guys understand the Kendrick Lamar beef with Drake, I can't believe Drake hasn't dropped a lawsuit against the Grammys this morning, because the whole place was cheering "Not Like Us," right? And A minor. That's a big question. That's a conversation we have to ask. How much more are we gonna let these guys blatantly sex traffic children?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for the Epstein list, and we're never going to see that because the Trump is on it, actors are on it, the Bill Gates of the world is on it. Now, go back and watch an interview with Bill Gates' wife talking about it. It's just
all right. We got to wrap, man. But thank you, Joe, so much for coming in.
Pineapple. Sorry, that's my stop talking word joke.